whatever it takes.
Ah, Thor. Very nice to meet you, sir. Ah, a handshake man. Well, put her there. Jesus! I think I cried my pants!
I like this one.
Oh, you. Seriously there, guys. There's a turd in my pants. Hey guys, welcome to Film Learnin, the show dedicated to learning you some filmmaking and learning good. And welcome back to another episode of Insert Yourself. Man, I'm really gonna do something about that title card. It's better. So on this episode of the show, we're going back to Avengers Endgame, which we didn't insert yourself on a couple of months back, but there's a new trailer out, so we're gonna do it again, because it's this really cool scene where Thor summons Stormbreaker right in front of Captain Marvel, and she barely reacts, and it's really cool. So I just thought, hey, that might be easy to do and insert yourself on. It wasn't. At all.
If something's hard to do, then it's not worth doing.
But nevertheless, it's done. So all you have to do is head to filmlearnin.com/downloads and grab the Insert Yourself Endgame download pack number 2.
My God.
And then of course you have to shoot yourself or an actor on a green screen acting out several different shots. One just a medium shot of you turning around and greeting Thor, then a couple of close-up shots. Let's also not forget a medium shot of you reacting to the hammer actually being thrown at you. And then of course you need to shoot yourself in nearly a full body shot, just mingling with the Avengers. As always guys, the same tips do apply with any Insert Yourself. Just try to match the lighting and set up the shots as best you can. It's always a good idea to check out the trailer or have it on standby when you're shooting as a reference. But apart from that, that's all you need. So let's get to work, shall we? Okay guys, here we are in After Effects, and I'm going to use the most complicated of all these shots to work on in this tutorial because I guess I'm a sadist. So let's go into the shot with Thor catching Stormbreaker. So our first step here is to bring both of the files related to the shot called 3top and 3bg into a new comp. Done. Our next step is to head up and add a new null object. Also done. From there, we want to track the camera movement of this shot. Now to do this is pretty easy, gang. I'm going to select our background layer, head to Effect, Boris Effects Mocha, and I'll grab Mocha AE. Let's now launch that. All done. Now, all we want to do here is find a nice clean area to track. Say here will do. We'll just draw a simple mask. We'll then increase the percentage down here to 90% and just hit track forward. Done. Looks like a nice smooth track. We can now save that and head back to After Effects. Welcome back. Our next step is to select our background layer. If it isn't already, open up the tracking menu inside of Mocha by going to the effects menu, hitting create track data, selecting the layer that we just created. Then we're going to head down to export options, set that to transform, change the layer export to our null object and hit apply export. As you can see, we now have a track layer that we can parent our green screen footage to. Pretty easy, huh? We can now bring in our keyed green screen footage. Now gang, I've gone and skipped the part of me keying this out because, let's face it, you don't need to see me keying a shot again because I've done it to death. Seriously. So first, I'm going to scale this footage down and get it into position. Now guys, if you do need a guide as to where to place your actor in these scenes because we've got a blank background, click the link below and watch the actual trailer and just pause it on these shots. That's what I did. Okay, we're in position. Let's parent the actor footage to our null and check out a preview. Nice, it looks pretty awesome. And we've managed to match that camera movement quite well. Now, onto the tricky part. And this kind of really is the tricky part, guys. Matching the color grade of this shot. Now, guys, I'm going to speed up the footage slightly while I talk over this. Now, gang, I gotta say this was the tricky part because there's a lot going on in this grade. The skin tones are quite warm, the blacks have a blue hue to them, and everything seems kinda muted overall. Once again, it does help having Captain Marvel as a reference still here, guys, to compare the palettes, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm a pale guy, and Chris Hemsworth is clearly a bronzed god, so trying to match his skin tone is silly. But after a bit of trial and error, I settled on this. Now if I turn this on and off, you can see a pretty dang dramatic difference from whence we started. Now the last thing I did was something you might find, well, a little bit crazy, but just stick with me, okay guys, because it does make sense. I actually added a camera lens blur to my actor footage. Now you might ask, why Grant? Why would you blur your footage? Are you not supposed to be in focus? Well, here's the reason guys. I shot my actor in 4K and scaled it down significantly. And we are inserting said footage into a full HD trailer that is compressed for YouTube. So if we keep our 4K footage all crisp, it's gonna stick out like dog's balls. So if we only add a blur radius of 1 to this, and in the close-ups I'm going to increase this to 2, trust me when I say this is going to make a big difference. It's going to make that footage look like it's actually in the shot a lot more than having that crisp 4K footage on its own. Okay, now let's check out a preview. Nice, we've inserted ourselves into the shot and I think it works great. Now guys, I know many of you have been begging for a tutorial on how I remove actors from shots for Insert Yourself, and it's not always an easy thing to do. In fact, in shots like this one right here, it's downright painful. But I wanted to show you the process of how much work goes into it, because it's a lot. So let's start with painting the actor out. To do this, I try to find the best possible reference frame to work with that has the most amount of detail of the background. In the case of this shot, I had an issue where Captain Marvel stands in front of this shelf right here and this window the entire time. So I essentially had to create what was behind her from scratch. To do this, we take that still and head to Photoshop. From there we kinda just Frankenstein parts of this picture in order to fill in the missing parts of the frame. I also take a look at other shots in the same scene and see if I can grab reference stills from them and just scale them or move them around and just basically cannibalize parts of them to combine them into one shot. I basically continue to do this until it looks passable. It doesn't have to be perfect because the actor is going to fill the frame where Captain Marvel is missing, and that tends to distract from the background. But if I move in a way that she didn't, you don't want an ugly background showing through. So this was the end result of all that work. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it's really down to how you blend it into the shot back in After Effects. So here is my actual comp of this shot pre-render. Now just be aware, this was one insanely messy comp, and this is for 2 main reasons. The shot pushes in, and the parallax of the shelf here won't work with a flat still. So the blank plate I made up only takes up this part of the shot on the other side of the shelf, which is parented to a track null, just like I showed in the tutorial. Then I got a little sneaky. I actually downloaded the 4K version of this trailer, which would be bigger than this one, and I masked out a section behind the shelf and I brought it into this shot in a pre-comp to fill all of that space inside the shelf. So you can see from this comp that I have a whole bunch of pre-comps in here called Catch 3, and these are basically all the same little section of that shelf footage, stacked on top of each other and blended together with mostly fast blurs. I mean, you can see how janky it looks when I solo it, but in the context of everything going on in this shot, including adding my keyed actor in, it works quite well. But you can see how complicated this shot was to build. Now the other shots in this scene are nowhere near as complicated as this one, but I thought it might be worth talking about the hardest one to make. The other thing we needed to do in this shot is completely rotoscope any part of Thor that overlapped Captain Marvel, which includes his arm, the hammer, and most of his torso really. So let's open up Mocha and see the work that I did. Now in order to do this, I actually wrote it out these in sections, which you should always do, gang. I mean always. Never rotor an entire person, as the points end up being way too hard to control and refine if they move around a lot. Now we have the hammer, the arm, the hand, the jacket, all on their own rotoed layers. Now I could have done all the fingers separate as well, but I was confident that I didn't have to. So guys, this is all the work that went into just one shot to make it work. Pretty crazy, right? Now you might ask, Grant, why didn't you use the new content aware fill that just released for After Effects? Now funny enough, the updates came roughly 1 day after I finished this shot. Now I tried on a couple of different shots, but I'm yet to find anything that I can actually use. I think it's more suited to subtle removes instead of entire people, but I'm going to explore this further and just do a lot more experimentation, because I've seen some really good examples of this, but I'm yet to actually be able to pull one off. Now if we jump back to After Effects, and you add the rotoed footage on top of that comp, and you have Captain Marvel removed from the shot, as you can see, it really is a lot of work to remove an actor, particularly from a shot like this. Now guys, I think we will end up tackling a shot from start to finish, maybe a simpler one, just for my own sanity, but we'll do that in its own contained episode. So look forward to that. But for now my friends, that is another Insert Yourself. Done. So guys, that's another episode of Insert Yourself into Avengers Endgame. As you can see guys, an absolute buttload of work went into this one just to make it easy for you. So I really hope you enjoyed. And hey, if you did enjoy it, please smash that like button. I really do appreciate it and it really does help out. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button below and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss a single Film Learnin episode. I've got 2 other episodes right over here. We've got another review coming later in the week, so check that out. I've got all my socials over here, as well as the Patreon if you want to support the channel, or you can click that join button below to support the channel directly in YouTube. But until I see you again guys, keep learning.